What if I told you that you're leaving money on the table every single time you fly? I'm not talking about a few bucks here and there. I'm talking about potentially hundreds of dollars worth of free stuff. These aren't mythical once-in-a-lifetime upgrades. These are real, gettable freebies that airlines have in stock, but absolutely do not advertise. After flying over 150,000 miles this year alone, I've learned exactly what to ask for, and more importantly, how to ask for it without looking cheap or desperate. So, stick around, because I'm about to share the 15 flight freebies that still work right now, and the exact words you can use to get them. Alright, first up, let's talk drinks. You know that little cart that slowly makes its way down the aisle? Think of that as just the movie trailer, not the full feature film. What's on that cart is a tiny preview of what the airline actually has available. Hidden away in the galley, they've got a whole stash of drinks that most passengers have no idea exist. I'm talking about things like tomato juice, spicy ginger ale, club soda, tonic water, and even chocolate milk or hot chocolate on some carriers. These aren't special, complicated requests. They're standard inventory, just sitting there in a cabinet, waiting for the savvy traveler to ask. But here's where it gets even better. Instead of that tiny plastic cup filled with ice and about 3 sips of soda, you can and should ask for the whole can. Honestly, flight attendants often prefer this. It saves them a ton of time and effort. Think about diet sodas that fizz up like a science experiment when they're poured at 35,000 feet. Giving you the can means less mess for them, fewer refill requests, and you get triple the drink. It's a win-win. So, how do you do it? It's simple. When they ask what you'd like, just smile and say, "Could I please have the whole can?" 9 times out of 10, they'll happily hand it over. For the hidden menu items, try something like, "I know it might not be on the cart, but would you happen to have any tomato juice?" The key is being polite and acknowledging that you know it's not right in front of them. You'll look like a seasoned pro, and you'll get the drink you actually want. This next one might seem simple, but it's amazing how few people do it. Airlines load way more snacks on every flight than they actually need, usually about 10 to 15% extra. This isn't a mistake. It's a calculated buffer to handle things like last-minute passenger changes, unexpected delays, or dietary requests. What does that mean for you? It means there are almost always leftover snacks sitting in the galley that the crew would much rather give away than have to count and process as waste later. So when the snack cart comes around and they offer you that classic choice, cookies or pretzels, you don't actually have to choose. Most people just pick one and move on, but you can easily get both. Flight attendants are trained to be accommodating, and from their perspective, giving you an extra snack is better than throwing it out. Here's your strategy. When they get to your row, just be friendly and say, "They both look great. Would it be possible to have one of each, please?" The timing can help here. If you ask when they're about halfway through the cabin, they have a better sense of their inventory and are more likely to say yes. And on longer flights, especially with airlines like United and JetBlue, keep an eye out for self-service snack baskets. They often set these up in the galley between meal services. You can literally just walk back there and help yourself to whatever they've put out. No asking required. Now, this is a game changer for anyone on a long-haul flight. Just like with snacks, airlines load 10 to 15% more meals than there are passengers on the plane. It's a standard industry practice. They can't risk running out of the chicken option halfway through the cabin, especially on premium international routes where meal service is a big part of the experience. But what happens to all those extra perfectly good meals? After landing, they get thrown away. It's a logistical necessity for the airline, but a huge opportunity for a hungry traveler. Flight attendants would much rather give a second meal to a passenger than see it go into a landfill. I remember on a 14-hour flight to Sydney, I was still starving after the first meal. I waited until things calmed down, went to the back, and just casually mentioned I was still hungry. The flight attendant hooked me up with a whole second tray of the chicken pasta. It was a lifesaver. Timing is absolutely everything with this one. You have to wait until the entire main meal service is complete. Don't ask while they're still rushing to serve everyone. Once they've cleared the trays and the cabin is settled, that's your window. Walk back to the galley discreetly and say something like, "Excuse me, I'm still a bit hungry. I was wondering if there happened to be any extra meals left over. Be flexible. You'll get whatever they have left, so you can't be picky, but it's a fantastic way to get a second helping on a long journey. Think all the good amenities are reserved for business class? Think again. Economy passengers can often get individual comfort items just by asking for them. Airlines stock a surprising amount of these supplies, but to save costs, they don't hand them out unless someone specifically requests them. We're talking about extra pillows, cozy blankets, earplugs, eye masks, and even basic dental kits with a toothbrush and toothpaste. These aren't special order items. They're usually sitting in an overhead compartment in the galley. And we're not talking about those paper-thin blankets they sometimes give out. On carriers like American Airlines for their international routes, they've seriously upped their game. The pillows have actual substance and the blankets are soft. You can essentially build yourself a little comfort nest, even in economy. The reason they don't hand them out to everyone is purely financial. It would cost them millions. They'd rather give them to the passengers who will actually use them. Some airlines are more generous than others, of course. Emirates and Turkish Airlines often give pre-packaged kits to all economy passengers on long-haul flights. The trick here is to ask for specific, individual items rather than a full kit. Try approaching a flight attendant after the main service and asking politely, "Could I please have an extra pillow if there are any available?" Or, "Do you happen to have any eye masks?" This is a small request that's easy for them to fulfill. Ready to save yourself $5, $10, even $15 at the airport coffee shop and unlock a world of comfort at 35,000 feet? This is one of my favorite hacks. Bring a wide-mouth thermos or an insulated travel mug in your carry-on. Once you're at cruising altitude, you can ask the flight attendants for hot water. This simple move completely transforms your in-flight experience. In your personal item, you can pack your favorite tea bags, instant oatmeal packets, or even a cup of noodles. Suddenly, you have a personalized in-flight cafe that's way better than anything the airline serves. The wide-mouth design is key because it makes it easy for the crew to pour the water without spilling. If you're tight on packing space, a collapsible silicone cup is a brilliant alternative. They fold down completely flat, but expand to hold a full serving. Here's how to ask. Wait until after the main beverage service is over, so you're not interrupting their workflow. Then, find a flight attendant and ask, "When you have a moment, could I please get some hot water in my thermos?" And a quick safety note. Always ask them to fill it for you. Never try to use the galley taps yourself. The water they use is perfectly safe. It comes from the same dedicated potable tanks they use for their coffee and tea service. This is one you hope you don't need, but it's incredibly reassuring to know it's there. Commercial aircraft are legally required by the FAA to carry comprehensive medical supplies. Flight attendants receive training in basic first aid and are allowed to dispense common, over-the-counter medications. The range of what they have is surprisingly extensive. We're talking about pain relievers like aspirin and ibuprofen, antacids for an upset stomach, and antihistamines for mild allergic reactions. The first aid kit itself is stocked with bandages, antiseptic wipes, and other essentials for handling minor cuts and scrapes. It's important to know they have two separate kits. The basic first aid kit is what they can open for everyday issues. The second is a sealed emergency medical kit that can only be opened in a serious medical situation, usually with guidance from doctors on the ground. So if you get a headache mid-flight or a paper cut from your book, don't suffer in silence. Just discreetly get a flight attendant's attention and politely explain what you need. This service is completely free and can make a huge difference in your comfort. Oh, and a related bonus tip. You can also ask for sanitizing wipes. They have them in bulk to help clean tray tables, armrests, or anything else you want to wipe down. Tired of paying $20 just to send a few texts from the sky? There's a loophole that most major airlines offer but don't really advertise. It's free messaging. This allows you to use popular apps to stay connected with people on the ground without having to buy a full internet plan. Airlines like Delta and Southwest are great with this. They offer completely free messaging through iMessage, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger. It's a tiered system. Basic texting is free, But if you want to browse the web or stream videos, you have to pay up. Here's how you access it. Connect to the plane's Wi-Fi network as you normally would. When the airline's portal page pops up, look carefully. Instead of clicking Purchase Wi-Fi, you should see an option for free messaging or something similar. Select that, and your messaging apps should start working perfectly for texts, and sometimes even photos. The one major exception here is JetBlue, who are the heroes of in-flight internet. They offer free high-speed Wi-Fi on every single flight, with no restrictions. You can browse, stream, and email to your heart's content. But for most other airlines, the free messaging loophole is your best bet. Traveling with kids can be tough, and it often feels like airplanes are designed to make it harder. But airlines do have some hidden resources for parents. Many of them stock kids' entertainment kits. You just have to know to ask for them. And these aren't just a single crayon and a napkin. United, for example, partners with Sesame Workshop to create activity kits with books and sensory calming strips. These are textured stickers that can help anxious kids, and honestly, they work pretty well for stressed-out adults too. Another huge win for families is seating. Airlines will automatically seat children under 12 or 15 next to an adult in their party for free, even if you bought the cheapest basic economy tickets. United and American's systems will automatically search for adjacent seats at booking, as long as you're all on the same reservation. This takes away a massive travel headache. And for those flying internationally with an infant, make sure you request a bassinet position when you book. These are special seats at the bulkhead with a fold-down bassinet. They are limited and get booked up fast, but they can completely change the game on a long-haul flight. When you're on board, don't forget to ask for the classic pilot's wings. For activity kits, a simple, "Do you happen to have any activity kits for children?" works perfectly. And for the wings, try "My child would be thrilled." Is it possible to get a pair of pilot's wings? This is a strategy that will change your entire approach to airline food. Special meals like vegetarian, kosher, or halal aren't just for people with dietary restrictions. Any passenger can order one in advance, and here's the secret reason why you should consider it. You get served first. That's right. Special meals are distributed by hand before the main carts even start rolling down the aisle. This means while everyone else is still waiting, you're already enjoying a hot meal. And often, these meals are of a higher quality because they are prepared in smaller batches and haven't been sitting in a warming tray for as long. But the genius of this move goes beyond the food. By finishing your meal 30 minutes before everyone else, you can get up and use the restroom before that inevitable post-meal rush creates a line down the aisle. No more awkward waiting. Booking one is easy. You just need to log into your reservation on the airline's website, or call them at least 24 to 48 hours before your flight. You can choose from a wide range of options. It's a simple trick for better food, faster service, and a much smoother in-flight experience. Let's be realistic for a moment. Getting a free, spontaneous upgrade to business class is like spotting a unicorn. It almost never happens unless you have the highest level of elite status. But getting a better seat within economy? That is absolutely achievable with the right strategy. Your first golden opportunity is exactly 24 hours before departure, when online check-in opens. This is when airlines often release any unsold preferred seats into the general pool. These are the good ones: aisle seats, window seats, and seats closer to the front of the plane. We're also talking about bulkhead seats where no one can recline into you, or those desirable two-seater rows on wide-body planes. Set an alarm on your phone and be ready to check in the second it opens. It's first come, first served. Your second chance comes at the gate, about 30 minutes before boarding. The gate agent has the final passenger list and knows exactly which seats are still empty. This is where being a solo traveler gives you a huge advantage, as it's much easier to move one person than a group. Politeness is your currency here. Gate agents deal with stressed, demanding people all day. A friendly and understanding approach will get you much further. Walk up and say something like, "I know it's a long shot, but if there happen to be any exit row or more spacious seats still available, I'd be so grateful if you could take a look." The worst they can say is no. We've all felt that rising panic when you land and realize your 40-minute layover is on the other side of a massive airport. It feels like an impossible mission. But there's a way to get a head start. Flight attendants can actually help you get off the plane faster no matter where your seat is. The key is to let them know about your tight connection early in the flight. Don't wait until descent. This gives them time to plan. Often, they will make an announcement asking other passengers to remain seated for a moment to allow those with tight connections to deplane first. This simple courtesy can save you a crucial 10 to 15 minutes. But here's the secret weapon. If there are empty seats closer to the front of the plane, they might even be able to move you there before landing. Again, this is much easier if you're a solo traveler. The crew can also sometimes coordinate with ground staff. They might be able to give you an update on your connecting gate or, in rare cases of widespread delays, even call ahead to let the other flight know you're on your way. Here's what you say early in the flight. "Excuse me, I'm a little worried about my connection in Chicago. I only have 40 minutes to get to flight XYZ at gate C22. Is there any assistance you can provide to help me deplane quickly?" Even with all the budget cuts, a little bit of human connection still goes a long way in the airline industry. If you're celebrating a special occasion, a birthday, an anniversary, a honeymoon, mentioning it politely can sometimes lead to a small, delightful perk. Now, let's manage expectations. This is more likely to work on international, full-service carriers like Emirates or Qantas than on a domestic budget flight. Some airlines even have systems that flag birthdays in the passenger manifest. But on most flights, it comes down to the discretion of the crew. The key is to be genuine and not demanding. Don't walk on board and announce, "It's my birthday, where's my free champagne?" That's the quickest way to get nothing but an eye roll. Instead, find a quiet moment and mention it casually to a flight attendant. Say something like, "I don't mean to ask for anything at all, but I just wanted to share that my partner and I are on our honeymoon, and we're just so excited." What might happen? You might get a heartfelt congratulations. Or if the crew is feeling generous and there are extras available, they might surprise you with a complimentary drink, a dessert from the premium cabin, or just some extra snacks. It's a small gesture, but it can make your trip feel truly special. This one can save you both stress and muscle strain. When a flight is full, you'll often hear gate agents make an announcement asking for volunteers to check their carry-on bags at the gate for free. Most people groan, but you should see this as a golden opportunity. Jumping on this offer means you don't have to wrestle your bag into a crowded overhead bin. You just leave it at the jet bridge, walk onto the plane empty-handed, and then pick it up at the gate when you land. It's usually brought up much faster than the bags at baggage claim. But there are also some really cool airline-specific baggage perks out there. Alaska Airlines, for example, has a Wine Flies Free program from many West Coast airports, allowing you to check an entire case of wine with no extra fees. Perfect for that trip to Napa Valley. And don't forget to check for special allowances. Active military personnel get generous baggage benefits. The same often applies to passengers traveling with medical equipment or large musical instruments. The key is to do your research on the airline's website before you get to the airport so you know exactly what you're entitled to. This is a truly memorable experience, especially for kids or anyone who's an aviation enthusiast. For security reasons, cockpit visits during the flight have been banned for years. But it's often possible to get a quick peek before takeoff or after landing. Pilots are often incredibly proud of their office, and many of them genuinely enjoy sharing that passion with curious passengers, especially children. The timing of your request is crucial. The best time to ask is either as you're boarding or as you're deplaning. This is when the pilots aren't in the critical phases of flight and have more flexibility. The captain's workload is the deciding factor. If the flight was delayed or had technical issues, they'll be too busy. But on a smooth, on-time flight, your chances are much higher. This is also a great time to ask for those classic wing pins for your kids. Flight attendants usually have a stash of them ready for just such an occasion. Here's how to ask a flight attendant as you board or leave the plane. My son is absolutely fascinated by airplanes. If the pilots aren't too busy, would a quick peek inside the cockpit be possible? It's a simple, polite request that can create a memory that lasts a lifetime. Okay, I've saved the biggest and best for last. This is the ultimate travel freebie that can literally add a whole bonus vacation to your trip for no extra airfare. I'm talking about free stopover programs offered by several major international airlines. Airlines like Turkish Airlines, Qatar Airways, Etihad, and TAP Air Portugal will let you turn a long layover into a multi-day adventure, often with a free hotel stay included. Turkish Airlines is famous for this. If you have a layover in Istanbul that's over 20 hours, they'll put you up in a 4-star hotel for one night if you're in economy, or a 5-star hotel for 2 nights if you're in business class. That's potentially hundreds of dollars in value just for booking your flight strategically. Etihad offers complimentary accommodation in Abu Dhabi, and TAP Air Portugal lets you stop over in Lisbon or Porto for up to 10 days with no extra airfare. Now, here's the catch. This requires advanced planning. You can't just ask for this at the airport. You have to book your trip as a multi-city itinerary directly through the airline's specific stopover program page on their website. It takes a little extra research, but the payoff is enormous. So there you have it. 15 legitimate freebies and hacks that can save you money and make your flight experience so much better. The big takeaway here isn't just about grabbing free stuff. It's about understanding the system and knowing that a little bit of politeness and strategic timing can completely transform your trip. Flight attendants are professionals managing incredibly complex situations. A respectful request will always beat an entitled demand. The worst they can say is no, but you'd be surprised how often they say yes. So next time you fly, try a few of these out. Let me know in the comments which ones worked for you, and if you have any of your own secret hacks to share. Fly smart, and I'll see you in the next video.